Yeah, so now we're going to transition to talk about the final piece on our album. This is called Red by Nina Shekhar. And unfortunately, Nina couldn't be with us tonight, but we're really excited to share her piece with you all. And I'm joined by Sagar now. And Sagar, why don't we talk a little bit about, could you tell us a little bit about Nina?
Yeah, we do. Nina very graciously recorded a clip of herself talking about the piece that we'll be sharing a little bit later. But Nina, like myself and Carl, we were all in the same class together at the University of Michigan. Nina, on that note, she did her undergraduate at the University of Michigan in both composition and chemical engineering. And she just completed her master's degree at the University of Southern California, and she'll actually be starting a doctorate in the fall at Princeton University. Some of her influences that she explores in her music, these themes of navigating identity are really important to her work. And then also she's an Indian American like myself, and her music is influenced by some of the things that she heard while growing up. So that's some Indian classical music, Bollywood music, and then also bands like Pink Floyd. And during this time, right now, she is back at home in Michigan, spending some time with her family. She's growing vegetables in their garden, and you know, we're sorry she couldn't be here with us, but we're glad we can share this music and talk about her piece anyways.
Yes, her piece Red is inspired by and evocative of the image, some natural imagery, the image of flames and fire, sort of in the many different forms that it can take. So we know fire like a warm campfire in a gathering place, but there's also, we can see fire in many different places, like in a raging inferno, or in like a very thin line of smoke that you might see coming up from incense, or from a match that just bursts really quickly into light. And I thought Nina was so creative in bringing forth that imagery, not only with very interesting harmonic and melodic ideas and motivic material, but also through a very driving sense of rhythm to communicate excitement, and a very sort of cool and very sort of incensed approach to harmony to come up with the more calm sections of the piece.
Yeah, and like you're saying, there's just, you know, so much contrast in this piece. You know, she goes from an opening that's kind of soloistic, and then we get this big ensemble section that kind of leads into a another soloistic section that has me and Mickayla wailing on high notes while Sean is just, you know, blasting away this amazing solo. And then we kind of, I believe we calm down from there and have this very, very kind of almost tentative 2D ensemble playing that gives way to this like very soloistic section where, you know, many, almost I think all of the instruments are featured individually with maybe some background elements. And then, you know, that again ramps up into this really, really incredible fun driving section that takes us all the way to the end. Like you said, there's just so much incredible contrast that really reflects her concept of this, the different ideas of the flame.
Yeah. I remember
Yeah.
some of the more challenging aspects of putting this piece together are the way that Nina takes all five of us and splits us up into very independent lines that, although we're independent, we fit together sort of in like a very tight lattice work that really doesn't work so much if you take one person out. So it all sort of has to fit together in order to make the complete picture.
Yeah, that's right. So I think right now we're gonna go first to a clip of Nina talking about the piece. She'll introduce herself a bit and talk a little bit about the piece and some of her influences. And then we're gonna go to a clip of the actual piece from some of the soloistic sections that I explained earlier. So first, here's Nina.
Hi, my name is Nina Shekhar, and I'm a composer based between Detroit and LA. My piece is called Red, and it describes the unpredictability of a flame's movement. So sometimes, if you imagine a flame, the smoke might move in a really slow, mysterious way, almost as if it's doing some kind of sultry tango. And then other times, a flame could suddenly turn really volatile and become like this huge burst of energy. So my piece tries to capture the sudden shifts between this really slow, reverent kind of movements that a flame might have, and then suddenly shifting to this giant fireball. And I'm an Indian American composer, and I grew up listening to a lot of Hindustani classical music. So my piece is kind of loosely inspired by certain elements of Hindustani music. For example, there's a category of rags called the Purvitat, and so my piece actually draws off of certain melodic fragments and harmonic structures from that family of rags. Also, it uses some kinds of ornamentation and these really interesting growl and flutter tongue timbral effects, which mimic sort of some patterns that vocalists do in Hindustani traditions. And so my piece is trying to capture a lot of the improvisatory nature of Hindustani music. And I'm really grateful to Vanguard. They're some of my favorite people. We met during our time at University of Michigan together, and I'm so excited for their album release. There are so many great pieces by really awesome composers, and I'm honored to be part of that. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Nina. And now we'll go to a clip from Red by Nina Shaker. This is again from about the middle section of the piece, and you'll hear some of the soloistic lines that may exemplify some of that improvisatory, gestural kind of things that Nina was just talking about, and also some of her influences from Hindustani music.
Really love the individuality and personality that each of the instruments has. I think Nina does such a great job of kind of giving each of us something really interesting and evocative to say in that part.
Yeah, and I was just thinking like there are moments in the other pieces that allow us to do that, but I think in a way that each of us gets a moment to really, like you said, express something on our own, like in a row almost. I think that's something that's kind of unique to this section of this piece. Yeah, anything else that you'd like to talk about with this piece, John?
Well, I guess there are a couple solos in the saxophone part that I think are really rip roaring, awesome, and fun to play. I feel like it's one of those rare times that as the saxophone player in the Reed Quintet, I'm given a little bit more liberty to cut loose and sort of do what my instrument does best in some ways. This, as a saxophonist, we have to really navigate the different sounds and timbres of this ensemble and balance to all the other instruments. And oftentimes that means that I have to really emphasize the lower and softer blending parts of my playing. So while I really enjoy doing that and trying to match tone and with everyone in the group, Nina definitely put some great saxophone solo lines in there.
Yeah, and I'm thinking about the specific solo that I think you're thinking about, which happens I think in the first half of the piece, and it's after this big ramp up, and then the clarinet and the oboe, myself, where we have these like almost like Morse code, like very, very high in our register, and there's only so much we can do to keep that quiet, and so even for balance purposes, you have to play out, and it's so great to hear you have that opportunity, because it's just some really, really incredible playing in that moment.
Yeah, definitely. The saxophone line sort of just sneaks in under this really thin high sound. So if anyone who's listening, if you go check out our album, that's on iTunes, Amazon, Apple Music, and Spotify, and all the other places, you can go ahead and listen to all that stuff.